Today on the back pickup, we're going to talk about one of my favorite guitar books of all time, Clapton's Guitar by Alan St. John. The book is less about Clapton and more about the guitar. Stay tuned. Hey, welcome to the back pickup. If you're new here, my name's Richie. We play Telecasters, talk about tone, and listen to good tunes. And today we're taking a break from the Telecasters to talk about this book, which is Clapton's Guitar by Alan St. John. This was written in, I believe, 2004. Now, in this book, Alan travels to Grayson County, Virginia, which is very, very close to where I grew up. And he goes to sit with the legendary guitar builder named Wayne Henderson, who at the time had been commissioned by none other than Eric Clapton to build him an acoustic guitar. Now, if you're not familiar with Wayne Henderson, he's a luthier, which is someone who builds musical instruments, and he builds handmade guitars basically out of raw, rare wood materials. And he's been doing it for well over 50 years. Most of the people in the acoustic guitar community know about Wayne Henderson because of the quality of his guitars. I've had the chance to meet Wayne on several occasions, and he's just such a nice guy, so down to earth. And this book really does a great job of capturing Wayne. It's called Clapton's Guitar, but like I said, it's not really about Eric Clapton. By the time you finish this book, you're going to feel like you're best friends with Wayne Henderson. Wayne is a master craftsman and artisan, and Alan St. John does a really good job in this book of capturing that. All the ins and outs of building an acoustic guitar, the wood selection, the tooling, all of the detail work that goes into making a great sounding guitar. Some people consider a Henderson guitar to be the holy grail of acoustic guitars. It's very hard to get your hands on one of these guitars, not just because of the time it takes to build one, but because of all the people in line in front of you to get one. The last time I looked, the wait list for a Henderson guitar was well over 10 years. And back in the mid-90s, when Eric Clapton's guitar tech called up Wayne Henderson asking for a guitar, Wayne treated Eric Clapton just like anybody else, which is, you don't get to skip the line because you're Eric Clapton. And so Clapton and his team waited for 10 years. And finally, around 2003-2004, Wayne started building the guitar that Clapton had asked for. Now, Wayne specializes in sort of pre-war Martin-style guitars. And in this case, he's building a pair, so actually two guitars, and they're sort of OM body-style guitars. And one is going to go to Clapton himself, and the other is going to be auctioned off for charity. And so the author, Alan St. John, got word of this and drove from New York City down to lowly Grayson County, Virginia, and decided to just sit with Wayne in his shop. One of the things about Wayne is, like I said, he's a very down-to-earth guy, and he kind of has an open-door policy at his shop. His shop is just a little building outside his house, and pretty much anyone can walk in off the street and just watch him work. And the author does such a great job in this book putting you into the shop with Wayne while he works. And when you're reading this book, you feel like you're there. You feel like you're sitting on a stool in Wayne's shop, sipping a cup of coffee and watching a master do what he does best, while cracking jokes and having a good time. To me, it was such a perfect book for reading in the fall. It really gives you a sense of the crisp autumn air in the Appalachian Mountains. You really get a sense of the place where all of this is happening around Galax, Virginia, Grayson County, Virginia. Again, this is where I'm from, so reading the book was very familiar to me and it felt like going home. The other thing I really loved about this book is that you really get a sense of guitar history from the book. There's all these guys just kind of sitting around hanging out in Wayne's shop while he's building this guitar. And they are every bit as much of gearheads about acoustic guitars as I am about Telecasters and amps and guitar pedals. They know everything about Martin guitars, especially pre-war Martin guitars. How to pick out a spruce top for an acoustic guitar, the Brazilian rosewood used on the fretboard, the bracing pattern used inside the guitar and how that affects the sound of the guitar. All of that stuff gets covered in great detail, and you feel like you really get a sense of what makes an acoustic guitar sound good. You learn all about the history of Martin guitars, the types of wood they used in the guitars before World War II, which are so coveted, and you start to understand that Wayne is kind of a torchbearer for the old way of doing things with building guitars. Even the necks on the guitars, Wayne carves with what is basically a pocket knife by hand. You don't even have to be a guitar player or know anything about guitars to enjoy this book. If you're a fan of craftsmanship in general, you're going to enjoy this book. The book is a lot like watching Bob Ross or This Old House on a Sunday afternoon on PBS. There's just something about watching someone do something that they're great at. And the thing about Wayne is that he doesn't seem to care one bit that this guitar is for Eric Clapton, who's a legend in the guitar world. To Wayne, it's just another guitar. And he's going to put as much effort into this one as he did the last one. So it's just an awesome, awesome book for fans of guitars, for guitar players, for woodworkers, for craftsmen. This will be a fantastic book for you to read this fall. Seriously, if you just want to curl up on the couch under a blanket with a good book and a warm cup of coffee this fall, this is the book for you. I put a link to the book on Amazon in my bio, and if you use that link, it helps the channel out a lot. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.